Coach, that was another interesting tilt, and you got close there in the end. Those 2 3-pointers back-to-back, man, they can help you out sometimes, can't they?
I tell you, man, if we hit threes consistently, it's a different team. That's probably the best three-point percentage game we've shot this year. And those 2 back-to-back were crucial. Cut it to a 4-point game because we were at that wall. We were just playing even the second half. We cut it to a 10-point game, so we won the third quarter. And then we talked about just breaking up the fourth quarter into 2 quarters. And we wanted to win the first 5 minutes, win the second 5 minutes. And those 2 threes really, allowed us to win that first little quarter, that first segment. And then, we put ourselves right in the position we wanted. And the margin of error is just so small. We come down, we get a stop, and then transition the Layla Lawrence turnover. And not the pass play. There's mistakes all throughout, but that's just what we're talking about, that margin of error. If you can cut it to a 2-point game right there or a 1-point game versus turn the ball over, I think they came down and hit a 3. It's that close that, have a chance to win the game. But I was just excited to see our aggression, our intensity in the second half. I thought we really played well in the second half. And really, the first half, we didn't come out and play bad, but we shot the ball poor. I mean, it was 22% in the first quarter and 27% in the second quarter. I thought we could have cleaned up some little things defensively, but we had a lot of people playing banged up. Yanni went down this game. Dez went down. We already had Liv that was hurt last game, and people just played through a lot of things today. And I was happy to see just the hunger, the desire to win the game, and that's a Mountain West team right there that, maybe not having a great season, but they're at Boise State for a reason. I thought we played really well and played well enough to win the game. We got to clean up little things, though.
All right, we've played against some big schools from some big conferences all over. You've had 2 games against the Mountain. Coach, you want to skip the Southland and just go join them?
And that's what Dr. Rudin said after the New Mexico game. Like, we just skip the Southland, let's go play in the Mountain West. Let's have some success in the Southland first.
Sure.
But I didn't think we played great yesterday. I didn't think we played together yesterday. And in a quick turnaround, it looked like a completely different team. And that's, we showed some perseverance today, some resiliency today. And, the size of Boise State, we're not going to see in the Southland. And so, I just told them, man, we can bottle up how we played in the second half. Including the shooting, because I thought we played well in spurts in the first half, just didn't put the ball in the bucket. But if we can bottle that up, how hard we played, going after loose balls and diving on the floor and sharing the ball and being aggressive to get to the basket. Asia Smith was so good today, turning the corner. It allowed us to set up our press. Like this looked like how we looked at the D2 level as far as, getting to the paint, getting to the free throw line. Now we can press again. And, that was what we wanted to do. We wanted to be able to press this team. We felt like that was a weakness of theirs, and also it was going to allow us to not have to play as much in the half court, not have to bang with those bigs down there. And they did a really good job of following that game plan. Just came up a little bit short today.
21 turnovers forced on Boise State. Your team only turned the ball over 13 times. You had to be happy with that number.
Yeah, we had extra possessions with the way we hit the offensive boards, 15 offensive boards, and how many turnovers we forced. The X factor today was we missed free throws. We missed some bunnies that we should have finished too.
Right.
And then they shot the ball really well from the three-point line. Didn't shoot as well in the second half. I thought we did a little bit better job in the second half of guarding the 3. Didn't allow a 3 at all in the third quarter, which was huge because 32 for them was just lighting us up in the first half. 4-7 from 3 in the first half, and we just had too many mishaps on her specifically that allowed them to stretch that lead out in the first half. And we're like, if we can clean that up, we're gonna put ourselves in position to win this game. And they followed the game plan really well today, and just came up a little bit short.
Natalie Pasco, who you're talking about, your Lion women,
Yeah.
It was real early in the game, and you just tied it up at 7-all, though. And then she comes out and bang, bang, hits back-to-back threes, got a third one later, and then she opened her eyes.
Yeah. But we knew that there was 2 players on their team that we wanted to go over on ball screens, over on handoffs. 2 players we said they get no room, and that was 4 and 32, and 32 they both hit threes. They combined for 5 threes in the first half.
5 out of 10.
And that was exactly what we didn't want to happen. But what we did do a really good job in the first half was we protected the interior. You know, those players they got in Boise State inside are so big, they're so physical, they're so good around the basket, and to be able to, you know, get their starting bigs in foul trouble, and to not let them get where they normally want to go. You know, we had a player off the bench that was the catalyst for them. It's just we got to clean up that margin of error if we want to be successful. And I think we continue to make strides in the right direction, but we only got one more non-conference game, and then it gets real. And so the penalty goes up once December 31st hits. And the great thing is we get to play at home. We get to open up conference play in the field house, and we've just had a lot of success there. I think some of those things that, like, we'll be able to see the ball go in the basket hopefully a little bit earlier, and just feel a little bit more comfortable being at home. And so we got to get off to a good start in conference play, but before that we got to go down to Texas and go down and continue to compete and get better.
Coach, the offensive rebounds for both teams are kind of larger than normal numbers.
Yeah.
15 for your squad, 13 for Boise, and both teams scoring only 7 points off of all those extra opportunities. What do you think when you look at a line like that?
It's what we talked about. I thought a couple of times that, like early in the first half, the Layla Lawrence, great offensive rebound, but she tries to tip it in instead of just get it, come down and finish it. And those plays right there, man, if that's 2 points here and, you know, 2 points a couple other places where we get the rebound but we shoot it off balance instead of, you know, take your time, shot fake if you have to. You know they want to block shots. And then get to the free throw line. We got to finish a little bit more on those plays because we're doing a great job of crashing and getting offensive rebounds. To go versus this team and have 15 offensive rebounds is special because that's a big group. It's a physical group, and we had to be intentional about going to get offensive rebounds. And it was, you know, Simone with 5, Asia and Yanni going in the trees and getting some, and Olivia Russell getting some, but Layla Lawrence with 5 big offensive rebounds. And we – if some of those plays that she normally finishes goes in, because she has, man, what an outstanding game she had yesterday. If some of that, it just didn't carry over for whatever reason, didn't carry over. And not to say that she didn't have a load, because she was banging against some physical girls in there.
Elodie Lalott. There's a lot of Elodie Lalott out there.
There's a lot. And so it's a little tougher to finish in those spaces, but, you know, the more she does it, the better she's going to get at it.
Desiree Colonel had a little scare with her early in the game, and she ends up only logging 24 minutes. The first question is, how is she? How's her ankle now?
I mean, she came back. She competed. You know, the same thing happened with Yanni. They at halftime, we're taping both those ankles, or we're retaping Des. We're taping Yanni. We're trying to do whatever treatment we can do at halftime in that short amount of time, and they still come back out and just compete. But, you know, when she went down, we're putting in another player, in Olivia Russell, who, you know, she got hurt yesterday. So all night we're doing treatment throughout the night, trying to get her ankle ready to play today. And so that was the thing. Like, I thought we showed some resiliency today and just playing through some of those injuries. It may be a different game if you're a little bit fresh, because you look at how we wanted to trap and some of those things we want to do in the full court. And, you know, Des, some plays, Yanni, some plays, Mia Deck, a couple plays, Olivia Russell, just a little bit slower on some of those rotations just because of, man, just being banged up and you know, playing with a taped ankle when you're not used to playing with a taped ankle and things like that, you know, a little bit swelling. That made a difference in the game, but it was good just to see the toughness that they came out, they competed, and they wanted to win, and they put us in position. Des had some big steals that led to direct points for us, and that was after the injury. So, you know, she played well, and the good thing is got some time to get healed up before we come back and play again.
Mia Deck, you said, had some good steals. She had 5 of them today, Coach. And trying to see if I can get to the turn. Let's see. That is a new personal best for her in a game. 6 times she's had 4 in a game, but we just saw the first time she ever had 5 in a contest.
Yeah.
Logged all. She was number 2. Deani's always going to be number 1 with 30 minutes and 56 seconds. Deck was right behind her at 30:48. Usually that's Desiree Colonel right behind her, huh?
Yeah, it just was, you know,
flow of the game.
Flow of the game, banged up. We played some offense, defense down the stretch. I just thought down the stretch there was a couple just we're late on some possessions that I feel like she can get there. And I don't know if it was the injury or fatigue or whatever, but we were a little late on rotation, so we ended up going offense, defense down the stretch with Liv. And I thought Liv did a great job, you know, of forcing some turnovers late and helping us to get some stops and just some of those plays on the stretch. Call could go this way, call could go that way, and the bucket could go in, and didn't swing our way today.
Coach Asia Smith has struggled the past couple 3 games, but today she puts up the second highest total of her career, 18 points. She goes 4 of 12 from the floor, but hit 2 threes and then was making a living at the fix and feed free throw line, 8 out of 10.
She played great today. She scored all 3 levels today. She hit a big 3 early, and right before the half, she hits another 3 later on. She's getting to the free throw line. She's getting to the basket. I thought she was great off of ball screens. Turned the corner. We talked about it, saying it, before the game. We talked about how we weren't good in ball screen situations yesterday. And, if we were better in the ball screen yesterday, it's a completely different game, but we didn't take advantage of how they guarded us in the ball screen yesterday, and then it was a completely different story today. Asia Smith's turned the corner. She's getting to the paint. She's getting to the free throw line. There was a couple times where she wanted to pass, and I'm like, Asia, just shoot it. Like, you've done such a great job. And that's one possession I think she wishes she could have back right before the media timeout in the fourth. But she was phenomenal today as far as just not just how she played and what she did from a production standpoint, but how she talked on the bench, what she's saying to her teammates, how she led today. It was a different person. It was great to see.
Amazing what a little chat with your coach will do sometime. Get over there in the corner with a guru and get it all figured out. Coach, tell me this. So there was at one point late in the game, Boise had the ball, and that freshman guard of theirs, there was a lot of arm bars out there used today, and she kind of exaggerated hers, was trying to create a little bit more, and it was right in front of me so I could hear it clearly.
They flopped a lot.
Yeah.
They flopped a whole lot.
And he told her to quit flopping.
They flopped a whole lot.
Where's the point where the flop goes from a warning to a foul?
There's no rule in D1, or there's no rule on the women's side. And it's funny because I was on the National Rules Committee the last 2 years, and being a D2 coach, I would hear these other Division I coaches talking about, man, we got to get rid of flopping. It's ruining the game. We just didn't see it a whole lot at the D2 level. We didn't see a lot of flopping. We saw Boise State flop a lot today, and it was frustrating. And even Bowling Green flopped a little bit yesterday, and both days they were like, Coach, it's not a flopping rule. The only thing they could do is if they flop and then they're on the ground, and then they cause another foul, they cause contact, they can call that foul. But right now there's no penalty in the game for a flop, so there's nothing they can do but say stop flopping, or unless they wanted to assess a tech at some point, but what are they going to call a tech on? And so that was a little frustrating.
Shoelace was untied.
Yeah, to see some of the flopping that happened today, and there's no penalty for it.
Well, it is interesting that something that wasn't part of our even lexicon of basketball, suddenly now it is. It's a rule on the men's side. We've seen that a couple of times, free throw, tech shots.
Yeah, and so being on that committee, that was what was talked about is there's a rule on the men's side, but it's not perfect. And so they're like, well, let's wait and see what adjustments the men do this year before we implement a rule in the men's game, because they had it up for discussion on what changes they wanted to make to the flopping call on the men's side. And it's not perfect, but I think at this point there needs to be a call in the game so that it's eliminated.
Do you think that's the kind of rule change that would end up going? How do you reward the team, how do you penalize the team that flops? Do you think technical foul shots would probably be the ultimate answer to that? I
think ultimately, yes. It's possession for that team and technical foul shots. So, if they already have the ball, then it's just attack, and it can go towards a foul count at some point too. And so I think there needs to be a penalty for the flop, but at this point it just isn't. So we'll continue to make adjustments and figure out what we can do to be better for that.
It is hard to think that the Lion women are going into the Christmas break at a 2-9 mark. Everybody understands the reason for that. Everybody would like the record to be better, but it's all about your preparation for what starts in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Get home for Christmas, go play the Longhorns, and then you ought to be able to have gas money for the rest of the trip.
December 30th or December 29th.
31st.
December 29th, we'll be 0-0.
There you go.
It won't matter what happened in non-conference. We're going to be 0-0, and it's going to be about what we do moving forward at that point that determines everything else. It determines if we play in the postseason, if we get rings, if we cut down nets, because all those things are still on the table. We can't play in the NCAA tournament, but the WNIT is on the table. And one thing they will look at is our net ranking. You know, we're going to be one of the higher net ranked teams in the conference going into conference play, and you pair that with winning our conference or winning the conference tournament, and you're going to be playing in somebody's postseason tournament. So that's all we got to focus on right now is being the best version of us after Christmas. I think even though we didn't win this game, it was good to see how we played, how we finished this game today. It was a completely different team than what we saw yesterday, and there's a lot to build on from what we did in the second half, especially today.
Following up on that just a little bit, looking at the net rankings pre-tournament. So these are before even yesterday's games. But you talk about where the Lions are in the rankings. They're 10 teams. They're amongst the top 5 in the Southland, Southeastern Louisiana, Lamar, A&M Corpus Christi, and Houston Christian rated ahead of your Lion women behind them. It is our first conference opponent, Incarnate Word, Nichols, McNeese, Northwestern, and New Orleans. Those last 5, the second 5 in the Southland, all we kind of created a Mendoza line. Where do you not want to be below? And it's the 300 mark in the ratings.
Yeah, so you said there was how many ranked? There's 2 ranked ahead of us, right?
Coming into this action, there were actually 4 because Southeastern Lions were at 283 going in. This is in the I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Massey.
We're at 235.
I'm looking at the right. 235 in the Lions. And those are just the wrong. You can't compare one poll to the other.
Yeah.
So never mind.
The Massey, and I haven't looked at the Massey. I've only looked at the net right now, and I think that's more what more teams are going by.
Sure.
With that, because it's the NCAA publication.
Exactly.
And going into this weekend, we were the 3rd highest ranked team behind Southeast Louisiana and Lamar, who both those teams are playing well. And Corpus was right there. I think we're 4th because Corpus slept ahead of us. So Southeast, Lamar, and Corpus are all ahead, but we're right there. And we played well today, and we got to get healthy coming back after the Christmas break. Go down to Texas and get through that game healthy, and then we'll be in a good place. I think it's going to be great for them to go home and spend some time with their families and be able to get a little bit of rest, and then come back into this thing with not having to worry about school, not having to worry about anything, but let's be the best version of us when we hit the floor, and let's go from there.
All right, good enough. Coach, it has been a pleasure to come down here with y'all and catch up. Let's go home, celebrate, and then we'll see you in Austin again.
Merry Christmas to you and your family and everybody listening.
Indeed. Merry Christmas to you all. From South Padre Island, the A&M-Commerce Lion women fall to Boise State, but there is a lot more basketball ahead to go. Can you believe we're just closing out the second month of the season? We've played a lot already.
New life coming soon right after Christmas.